Hello everybody and welcome back to the British Pokemon League show. We are here with week 9 of the Premier Division action with your host, of course, Matt Starr. We are so close to the end of the regular season now, guys. We are just edging ever so close to that final week. And there's still so much yet to be decided. Just like last season, of course, it came down right at the wire, right at the final week, and I would think probably the same thing's going to happen again. Let's take a look at the league table just to see how close things are. Of course, Aaron and Lat, the Inglorious Sevens of Miami Heat, have already bagged their place in this season's playoffs. Aaron on the 7-1 record and Lat being in second with the 6-2. Then behind them is just sort of a complete sort of traffic jam of teams on 5 and 3. You've got the South Croydon Saws really turning things around from that early season form, bounced right up to third place now, looking very, very strong contenders for making that playoff spot. Followed closely behind by the Blue Boys, Tyndall Melmetals, and the Welsh Warriors. So, 4 very strong teams there. You would think there's a good chance they all make it, but, anything can happen in the British Pokemon League. In those final 2 playoff spots, Space City BC and the Shadow Kings occupy those 2 spaces. Meme has turned things around a little bit, unfortunately losing out last week to the Bully Boys, but we're looking to try and bounce back and just try and solidify that 7th place. Then in our bottom 4, you've got the Toronto 6, currently on a 3-game winning streak, is Jay, so he's really turned the fortunes of that spot around and is looking very strong for making that top 8. He just, needs the teams ahead of him to sort of drop a few games and he should be golden. And then on the 2 and 6 record, in that bottom 3, we've got the Newcastle Thunderous, Long Island Goomies and the Crimmick Colossals. So, make or break, for those 3 teams, especially in this next week or two. Every game matters at this point. Every game is huge. Ideally, you want to make playoffs. There is that safety net of making 9th or 10th place. You've got the relegation playoff there, and then you're thrown into the lottery of you've got to play 3rd and 4th in the Championship Division and try and get a result there. If you don't, well, we say goodbye to you. If not, then you manage to stick around to fight another day. Anyway, guys, let's look at this week's schedules and kicking things off. We're going to be watching the Toronto 6 take on the Newcastle Thunderous. Bit of a relegation 6-pointer this one. Said Jay is on one hell of a good winning run right now, is trying to bounce out of that bottom 4, meanwhile Dave and Newcastle Thunderous in desperate need of a win. Without a win since taking down Dr. Dave and his Crimmick Colossals, and not in very good form right now. So Dave really needing to turn things around. Up next, after that, we've got the Welsh Warriors taking on Space City PC. So, as we mentioned there, did lose out last week to the Blue Boys, so we're looking to try to bounce back. And, the Welsh Warriors going to be doing the same, dropping a game to the South Croydon Saws, going to try and get back to winning ways. And, Matrix will be looking to try and, confirm that spot in playoffs. Then we've got a big one. It is Dogsy taking on Miami Heat and Latvian. Shadow Kings versus Miami Heat. These 2 long-time close friends. So, it's always going to be spicy when these 2 play each other, so expect the fireworks on that one. Then, 4th game of the week, we've got the Long Island Goonies versus Crimmick Colossals. This is a huge relegation 6-pointer. Winner, still has a very good chance of making either top 8 or, at least 9th or 10th. The loser, is really putting themselves in a position, and potentially it's going to mean that the last 2 weeks are very much all or nothing for them. Then we have got the Bully Boys taking on the Tendo Melmetals. So the Bully Boys on a little bit of a good run as well as the Melmetals. So, a bit of a winning run streak on the line here between those 2 teams. And rounding out this week's action, we have an absolute doozy for you boys and girls. It is, of course, the rematch of our Season 2 and Season 3 Grand Finals. The Inglorious Surfers taking on South Croydon Saws. So both teams getting the wins last week. So it'll be very, very interesting to see who takes that one this time round. Aaron has the head-to-head record over Chris in the South Croydon Saws, but that means nothing. Of course, it's a different season. Chris, very much a man in form right now, and I'll be looking to trying to get one over on Aaron. But anyway, guys, let's take a look at the teams for our first match. Then it is, of course, the Toronto 6 taking on the Newcastle Thunderous. So, as we said, Jay has really turned things around once since he came into that spot. Replacing Draco at the midway point. And has put together one hell of a strong team. The likes of the Hitmontop could be really good here. We've seen, Olmer in previous seasons using the Hitmontop with that eject pack, just allow it to, bounce back out if Insane Orlando either switch in or launch from the start, and just allow it for Jay to get a safe pivot in. I think the likes of the Ndidi Hatterene could be quite strong here as well. But, Dave, of course, has his own Indeedee, so it's very much going to be a battle of the Indeedees here, who could do the most psychic damage. You would think the fake out users are potentially going to be staying at home for this one, but of course the likes of Meowstic and Sin are just one trick ponies. They do a little bit more than that. So it'd be very interesting to see the sort of move sets on those mons. And again, just like last week's game against the Shadow Kings, I don't so much think that Jay loses anything by setting up Trick Room, but might want to try and sort of avoid it since, the likes of the Pharaoh, the Insane, the Octillery, Probopass, Trevenant all really benefit from that Trick Room being, of course you can argue that Hatterene, Copperaja, etc., they all really benefit from that Trick Room going up as well, but you've got to weigh up the pros and cons into getting that speed control. Jay might look to just try and slow Dave down, or may try to bring some sort of speed element to his game. Pidgeot does get Tailwind, so maybe this is where we see the debut of Pidgeot. So we will certainly see. But guys, let's get into our first game. Let's not waste any more time. This is a replay game, so I'll do my very best to keep up with the action, and we'll see what goes on. But let's have a look at the Toronto 16 on the Newcastle Thunder. So Dave kicking things off with the Indeedee and the Jumpluff, as we've seen many times before. The Jumpluff with that Psychic Seed, and Jay has gone indeed for the Pidgeot and with the Meowstic as well. So it is Mega Pidgeot. Fake Out going to work into that Jumpluff as well because it's a flying type, and Tailwind does go up from the Pidgeot. Expanding Force going to work. It's a big damage to Pidgeot, but Meowstic doesn't really mind too much as Rotom Wash switches in. There's the Hurricane from the Pidgeot, which is going to activate the red card on that Rotom Wash, and down goes. Out goes the Pidgeot, and Expanding Force is going to get the KO onto that Nidoking's great red card usage there. Really unfortunate for Jay that that's the one that got switched in, but that's the way it crumbles. Is Dave is now going to switch in that Landorus and just bounces straight into a critical hit, Searching Strikes. I can see the sort of the reasoning behind going for the Intim drop there, try and drop the edge for his attack, but it was never living that, and straight away 2 mons go down. It's all up to Indeedee and the Jumpluff now as the Surging Strikes go into that Jumpluff, and it just about hangs on. And the Meowstic is going to get the kill on that Jumpluff. Is now all up to the Indeedee male, which is going to get the kill on the Airshrew. Get some big damage off to the Meowstic. This is a very close game towards the end here. Pidgeot going to go for the Protect, then stop that Expanding Force damage. Too much. The Meowstic just about hangs on, goes to Expanding Force of its own. Of course, both mons are resisting that damage, and the terrain goes down. Hurricane, they're going to get the kill, and Jay is going to take the lead in this one, and it's straight into game 2 we go, and Dave switching things up with the Indeedee male and the Rotom Wash this time. Jake sticking with what he knows, and the Pidgeot and the Meowstic leading the line this time instead. Goes for the Mega, gets the screens up, Tailwind goes up, there's the Mystical Fire into the Meowstic, trying to drop those special attacks. Tailwind, of course, instead going on Thunderbolt, hitting that Pidgeot, but does manage to live at Hurricane. It's going to get the confusion on the Indeedee male as well. There's the Expanding Force. That's going to mean Meowstic goes out though thanks to that red card, and now in because that Nidoking switches into the Expanding Force again. Pidgeot going to go down, and then Nidoking going to take the burn damage as well. It's just about hanging on as Meowstic switches back in, then in comes the Incineroar, get those stat drops in. Protect going to come out from that Rotom Wash. Gravity though now from the Meowstic, as there is the Air Power. Probably not the slot to go into, and the ban is going to take it out. It's now a 2v4, so Dave's in a really strong position. Switches into the Lando again. It's just a bit of a mistake there from Dave. We saw what happened last time he did that, and hate to see it. There's Expanding Force from the Meowstic, and the Rotom Wash does indeed get the Will-O-Wisp off into the Airshrew though, as now Insane going to switch in now as well, just try and get that attack drop. It does proc the Passo Berries. It's going to live that first one pretty handily, but still got some big damage off despite the pen and the half damage, that critical hit, obviously meaning that it's still going to be doing all the damage. Snarl going to come out now to try and drop that special attack further than the Meowstic. Is all up to Insane and the Indeedee male then, so Indeedee going to switch back in. It resets that terrain. Light Screen going to go up, the Surging Strikes is going to get rid of the Indeedee male, so all up to the Insane goes the Flare Blitz, is going to get rid of that Meowstic, but Urshifu is going to have the leverage over this Insane, and Jay is going to take this one 2-0 then, and the J train keeps on rolling on. This, can anyone stop this man? He's just looking so strong. Just completely shut down what Dave wanted to do there. I said a few unfortunate switchings there from Dave. In my opinion, the Lando T sort of switching in was a bit of an oofter, unfortunately. But that is the way that the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. You can see what Dave is going for. Try and get the the attack drops on the Airshrew, but it's the way things go. But GG's to both guys. Dave is not out of it yet. Not out of it yet. Those last 2 weeks, though, are going to be so huge. He needs to win those final 2 games and hope that those teams ahead of him don't win any of them remaining matches, which is asking a lot. But as we said, stranger things could happen. Look at last season. You know, it looked a safe bet that the Tyrants were going to stay up. And then final day shenanigans, they ended up going down due to alphabetical order. So do not, do not wipe Dave off. You can still do this. You know, this is Dave and his Newcastle Thunderers, so do not write them off at all. But into our next game, then, it is the Welsh Warriors taking on the Space City PC. Then, so you know, Matrix was a little bit concerned about this one. I think he's very worried about the Charizard here, just kind of what he wants to do. But having said that, you know, one thing that we've seen Matrix do quite well and quite a lot this season is just his ability to adapt. You know, he's got the Steel Monotype team, which is why he's having to adapt so much. But, you know, he's been able to adapt with not only around the usage of Klefki with the switcheroo and setting up screens and things like that, but, you know, there's also... It's also meant that, you know, he's been able to use some quite interesting items and things that you know, and berries that have really helped him out. You know, you'd like to think the Sugar Berry is always going to be then the Empoleon. Heatran tends to run the Scarf, but we have seen it run the Sash as well. You know, Togedemaru and things can also be steady. So, you know, he's having to play around with abilities and items, but I think that's what makes the team so unique and interesting and why it's one of the strongest monotypes. But that, you know, it is a high skill ceiling, but, you know, Matrix is managing to pull it off and looking really strong with it. But that being said, Meme's team is very, very strong into that Welsh Warriors team, you know, like some Mienshao and Charizard, you know, going to be looking really big. You know, I think maybe the Charizard X might even be better here, you know, because that four times rock weakness, you know, I'm not too sure what on that team that would outspeed Charizard is going to get that rock type move, but one rock move in that Charizard Y is gone for good. You know, that 4 times rock weakness does not enjoy. You know, one thing we saw last week is, you know, just the sort of power of that Gliscor. Not only is it quite bulky, but, you know, if it's able to get Sword Stance up and just sort of protect through and allow that poison heal to sort of heal itself back up, it can be a real menace. But, you know, there's definitely a lot on that team that is going to, you know, be quite confident. You know, make me quite confident in bringing them to this game. You know, Latias again as well. It might be worth bringing. You know, just to that levitate, you know, ability is going to be quite huge here. Just for the Meme's own ground type weaknesses there. You know, we could even see something like the Spiritomb coming to this game. You know, we see how strong it is with the stat drops and you know, stat moves with like the Will-O-Wisp and things. Icy Wind, drop those speeds. So maybe the Spiritomb is something that Meme is going to consider here. You would probably think that likes of the Bishop, Articuno, Lurantis, more than likely going to stay home. You know, just that the Metagross Heatran do kind of really scare those things off. Same with the likes of the BEM, the Raichu. So it'd be very interesting to see what Meme brings here, see which Charizard Mega he brings this game. He may even opt to bring the Latias Mega, but I don't know that would be the optimal play here. But anyway, guys, without further ado, let's get into this one. It is, of course, another replay game, so I will do my very best to keep up with the action going on screen. But let's get into this then. So Matrix is going to lead the line with the Aegislash and the Togedemaru then. So it's Togedemaru, Metagross, Klefki, Heatran, and Empoleon. Meme kicking things off with the Latios and the Gliscor goes to the Shadow Claws. It's Choice Scarfed. Aegislash, the Helping Hand, going to allow the Latios to go down as the Sword Stance goes off the Gliscor and obviously procs that Toxic Poison, means he's going to get that Poison Heal. Now out comes the Mega Charizard, going to set up that Sun Heat. Matrix rightfully switching into the Heat Run, expecting maybe a Heat Wave or something. Scorching Stanzo is going to take out the Togedemaru, but takes it down to 1% thanks to Sash, but the knockoff going to take it out. It was burned either way, so either way it was going down there. Now it allows Aegislash to switch right back in, and the Aegislash going to go for that Rock Slide. Just Charizard Y is going to go down to, you know, the only thing there's me maybe could have, you know, lived through, missed the critical hit as well from the Flamethrower. It's going to mean the Gliscor goes down now. Mienshao has it all to do, and what a nasty start there for me. Of course, come back and get blocked by that Protect on Heatran, and now it is just all up to you know, the Mienshao to do all the work. Rock Tomb comes out from the Metagross, drop its speeds. That's going to allow the Heatran to get it. Oh, Flamethrower on the Sun boosted is going to give Matrix the lead in this one, so not the best starter for me then, as he's going to kick things off with the Rantis and Gliscor this time. And Matrix switching things up, brings out the Klefki now and the Empoleon Protect, so he's going to try and get that Toxic Orb straight off. But yeah, another use of the Swagger on that that Lurantis, across Lurantis, is the contrary ability, so where that would normally raise, that actually drops this attack further down his raid, and that's going to come out. That's an unfortunate switch in for Meme, and Charizard switches right into a rain boosted Liquidation from Empoleon, and it does not stand a chance. Lurantis going for the Super Power, try and get its attacks back up again, and now in comes the Mienshao. Aegislash switches in, is it going to switch straight into a close combat from Meme? It is. It's a great read there from Matrix. And the runner sits itself with the confusion once again. Aegislash going on the attack now, maybe going for the flinches with those rock slides, just, allow him to get some damage off. There's the knockoff on the Mienshao though, so no flinches there, and Aegislash goes down. Doesn't believe he's going to get some big damage off from Klefki into Mienshao, and Lurantis is indeed playing. So that thing has just had no luck this game as Mega Metagross goes for his Mega knockoff, gets a little bit of damage away. Meteor Mash going to get some big damage off, and gets the attack boost as Dazzling Gleam from the Klefki is going to take out both Lurantis and Mienshao. So now it's all up to Gliscor in a 1v3. There's the Meteor Mash from the Metagross, gets some big damage off, and there's the Earthquake from the Gliscor. It's just all going down in this game. It's absolutely 100 miles per hour. Poison Heal, allowing him to get some of that HP back, and Meme rightfully protects. Try and keep himself in this one. Goes to the Meteor Mash again, does Matrix. That attack boosted Meteor Mash is doing so much damage. And he gets the double protect as well, so he's going to be able to heal right back up to half HP. This could be huge in terms of Meme trying to bring this one back, but it's not a great position for him to be in. Meteor Mash though does miss, and the Earthquake comes out from the Gliscor, and it's going to get the double KO as well. So now all of a sudden it's a 1v1. Gliscor versus Empoleon. Is Gliscor going to be faster? It's going to go for the protect either way, as the Empoleon sword stance anyway then, so that could be important there for Meme. The Earthquake's going to take out Empoleon, and Meme ties this one up at 1 apiece. Could have maybe thought the Empoleon might have Aqua Jetted there just to try and get some damage off, but not quite how it goes. As Meme this time starting with the Gliscor and Mienshao. Matrix switches into Togedemaru, and the Mega Metagross switching off the knockoff into that Togedemaru, then knocks off that Focus Sash, and Metagross going for the Rock Tomb, drop the speeds on the Gliscor. Gliscor going for that Sword Stance, gets the Toxic Orb, Poison Heal boost, and goes straight on the protect, blocks that fake out from Togedemaru, and the knockoff there it's doing the same amount of damage each time. The Meteor Mash going to take the Mienshao down to its sash, as the Poison Heal going to go back into full HP. Helping Hand comes out on the Togedemaru. The Togedemaru gets taken out by that knockoff. Meteor Mash, not quite enough. The Earthquake though, it's going to take out the Mega Metagross and his own Mienshao. So all of a sudden it is now a 3v2 Meme with the advantages. Latios going to switch in as Aegislash and Empoleon, the final 2 months for Matrix. Text comes out from that Gliscor. Then what is Aegislash gone for? He's gone for the rock slide then, so Aegislash now locked into that Choice Scarf. Tailwind coming out from that Latios, and the Empoleon going for the sword stance then. The Aqua Jet though, the Gliscor just about hanging on. There's the Mystical Fire. It's not going to quite do it enough to the Aegislash. The rock slide now though does land, and that is going to take out the Gliscor. There's now a 2v2. Meme with another 2 times a tailwind. Now in comes the Charizard, then goes to the Mega. It's going to set up the Sun. Goes for the Scorching Sands into the Empoleon then, and the Mystical Fire is going to get rid of the Aegislash, and now is a 1v2. The Liquidation is going to take out the Charizard thanks to that attack boost. Even in the Sun, I didn't think it would do that much. That's an insane amount of damage. That's the Mystical Fire. It is going to proc that Agua Burst. Empoleon goes right back up to full HP, half HP, sorry. Steel Wind gets a big amount of damage to Latios, but it's on leftovers. This is absolutely close as anything. Aqua Jet doesn't quite do enough. Is Mystical Fire going to do enough? No, it's at 16%. Leftovers takes it back up to 11. There's the Aqua Jet again. It must have been a roll as the Empoleon takes it out, and all of a sudden Matrix takes that one 2-1. What a game we had there, guys. That one came right down to the wire. That is probably one of the closest games we've had so far this season in terms of finishing. That was absolutely nuts. Very unfortunate on Meme's side. You saw that first time round the Aqua Jet didn't quite do that much, and then the second time round it did a bit more. That's the game we play. It's RNG. It's the way the cookie crumbles. GG's to both players. They put on one hell of a game for us. Big props to Meme for bringing that back in the game too. He really looked down and out in that one, and got the double protect off of Dreams, and allowed him to, basically bring that game back and take it to a game 3. So GG's to both guys. Meme, unfortunately, still not quite out of the woods in terms of avoiding relegation. Has still got a lot to do, but it's got 2 games to do it. Still is in that top 8 for now. Matrix, though, however, has indeed qualified for the playoffs, so congratulations to Matrix. First time of asking makes the playoffs with that Steel Monotite team. Great stuff there. On to our 3rd game of the week then. It is the Shadow Kings taking on the Miami Heat. It's a very, very interesting game, this one, because, I think if that's set up correctly, something like a Choice Scarf Typhlosion could just do huge damage into Dogsy's team. So Dogsy is certainly going to have to be careful on that one. Keeping an eye on that one. Something like the Thwackey with a fake out, launching with that might always be a safe bet, just to sort of scout out, what, protects, and, just allow him to set up something next to it. We know that Thwackey likes him to be paired next to Bruxish for allow Bruxish to go for that Trick Room, which, that Articuno Galar is also capable of doing as well, but I think Galar will be trying to go for speed. As long as he can avoid that Trick Room going up to counter it, he's potentially going to be sitting very, very pretty. You know, we've seen the likes of the Lipad paired next to that Articuno Galar and the Airshrew in recent weeks. It has been so strong. You know, Lipad just getting that fake out and prankster moves, you know, off straight off the bat and allowing, you know, one of the other to just sort of do what it wants and do what it needs to do, either setting up speed control or, you know, getting some damage off early doors. Of course, Lipad does also have that unbending ability, which is the way Lat might choose to go with this. Of course, Coco setting up that electric terrain. You know, Unburden's going to give it that speed boost, and then it doesn't even need Prankster. You know, because of course that Bruxish with the dazzling ability is going to stop a lot of the Prankster abilities it wants to do. So that may be a path that Latvian takes it. You know, very risky for Dogsy to lead that Coco and Electivire duo as he likes to do. Of course, Seeking does have that lightning rod. I would think Latvian will have scouted that out as a potential lead and will have Seeking in the line. In that team of 6, it'll either be, you know, hiding around in the back, or it'll be just there as a lead. You know, and you know, don't count this thing out. It does a lot of damage. It's got quite a decent move pool as well. It's got access to things like the Icy Wind as well, so it makes it a decent support one. So definitely could be a strong bring. This may be the game where Dogsy brings the Ditto. You know, if Ditto is a potential switching, you know, if something like the Articuno and Galar accidentally gets set up with a competitive boost or a weakness policy boost, you know, Ditto could be great to sort of bring in, just sort of counter that. So definitely a few options that Dogsy's got with his team there trying, but this is Dogsy versus Latvian. It's not a game we've had in quite a while. You know, these two haven't played each other since season 1 actually, so it's been a long time coming for these two. It's going to be a doozy. Let's get into this one. This Shadow Kings take on Miami Heat. Unfortunately, guys, this is another one. The next game as well is also a replay game, so I will do my best to go at a million miles per hour commentating of this one. I do hope you enjoy it all the same. Let's get into this one. It is Dogsy versus Latvian, so leading the line with that Electivire and the Tapu Koko, and Lat goes for the Lipad and Articuno Galar. Then so Electric Sea goes off on the Lipad, so it is Unburden Lipad, and Bruxish going to come out, so it's going to block that fake out thanks to that dazzling ability. Dazzling Gleam though, it doesn't quite take out Lipad. Lipad manages just hang on, and Articuno Galar, you know, tanking that damage of Seeking, switches in, expecting the electric damage. Imprison comes out from Articuno, maybe expecting that Trick Room to go off. Discharge procs that Motor Driver, is going to proc the Lightning Rod, but gets a big damage off to Articuno, does paralyze it, but procs the weakness policy, which is very scary. Coco going for that protect, then Electivire goes to the Rock Slide, but does miss the Galar. Articuno, unfortunately, maybe gets a flinch. No, the Drill Run is going to hit that protect, and Latvian doubling into that Coco, so would have been a perfect time for Electivire to get something off. Does get the Ice Pinch off, which is going to take out the Articuno, and there's a Dazzling Gleam, gets a critical hit as well on the Seeking. The Drill Run not quite doing enough to Electivire, which is going to show up the red card and switches into Primarina and Lipad now. Latvian going to switch right back into Seeking, expecting electric damage, and is going to just eat that lightning, you know, use his lightning run to eat that electric attack up for breakfast. Discharge goes off again, gets a big damage away at Primarina, which just goes for the Hyper Voice. It's going to get rid of the Electivire, so all of a sudden it is 3 apiece, and that gets some big damage away at Coco as well. Faki going to reset that terrain, bringing the Grassy Glide. That's going to get rid of the Seeking. Then is Coco going to go for damage as well, goes the Dazzling Gleam off into Primarina, and all of a sudden it is only Lipad left. It looks like Dogsy is going to take the lead this one and goes for the fake out into Coco, but it's not going to matter as Thwacky's going to get the kill, and Shadow Kings take the lead in this one into game number 2. Then Electivire and Coco leading the line once again. This time Latvian switches up, he's got the Lipad and the Typhlosion then, so is that indeed going to be the choice scarf? Typhlosion, Sunny Day comes out, there's the Eruption, it gets the double KO on Electivire and Coco. They just did not stand a chance, and in comes Thwacky and Bruxis, and Thwacky is just not something you want to see staring down a Typhlosion. Goes over the fake out as a Primarina switches in that Lipad going for the Encore there, so I'm not too sure what Lipad was going for, but Bruxish going to get that Trick Room up, which could be really important as now Thwacky's going to get rid of the Primarina, and there's the Aerial Ace into that Lipad. Lipad now getting the Encore onto Thwacky, so Thwacky is now locked into that Grassy Glide as in switches in the Typhlosion, so Grassy Glide's still going to do a decent amount of damage as well as Liquidation, but Typhlosion is not just a one-trick pony, he's got that Flamethrower in the sun. Thwacky doesn't stand a chance, and now Bruxish stuck into Liquidation as well. Latvian sees that as a point to save switch and brings in the Airshrew. Airshrew going to tank that damage under the sun. Lipad going for a copycat there, just trying to get some chip damage away, but the Grassy Terrain is going to give that Bruxish back up to 4 HP. Gets a Liquidation off, which is going to take out the Lipad, so it takes 2 kills in this game, but the Wicked Blow is going to get rid of the Bruxish, not standing a chance there, and Latvian ties us back up with 1 apiece. Is Latvian about to do it again? You know, we've seen him in recent weeks. You know, quite a lot of the time he's started one game down and has brought it back. Thwacky and Bruxish start again, gets the fake out onto Airshrew. There's the prison from Articuno, but Dogsy sees that coming, goes to the Aerial Ace on the Airshrew instead. Doesn't go for the Trick Room, and now in switches in the Umbreon. It's the first time we've seen it this season from Dogsy. switches in and reads the Wicked Blow, which is really smart stuff there, and Freezing Glare goes off, no freezes from that Articuno's attack, so Dogs will be thanking his lucky stars on that one. Grassy Terrain healing all the mons up as now in switches in the Typhlosion, sees a Grassy Glide coming and decides to save that edge, goes to Freezing Glare again. Fwacky managing to just hang on and goes for the Yawn on the Articuno, so it's really forcing Lat's hand. It means he's going to have to switch out that Articuno Galar, which means the Imprison's going to fail, so he's going to need to play around this safely. Goes to Grassy Glide into Typhlosion, goes for the Eruption, which I'd way even at half HP he's going to do, no take off Wacky, and goes for the Yawn into the Typhlosion. Well, that Umbreon is incredibly bulky, so it's a real feather in the cap. And surprise, this took Dogsy so long to bring it. Abominal switches in switches in the Seeking, Abominal switches strip. I got it now. In comes the Bruxish, sees that Eruption coming, and that's not really going to harm Umbreon and Bruxish, and goes for the Snarls. Also Typhlosion gets that special attack drop and is now going to be taking a fat nap as well for its troubles in this next turn. The Grassy Terrain, just healing all the mons up, that's why all the wall attacks. And now in comes the Articuno Galar, again goes the Poison Jab on the Umbreon, gets the Poison, but the Synchronize ability is going to proc on the Umbreon, which means the Seeking takes the Poison as well. The Umbreon going with the Foul Play, not trying the Snarl, that's maybe why Latvian was switching in the Galar Articuno, just trying to scatter out to get that competitive boost, and Bruxish does get the Trick Room up. Of course, Galar Articuno, if he doesn't deal with it, could just reset that Trick Room. Foul Play is going to give put Seeking in range of going down the poison damage, and the Liquidation drops the defense, which is going to proc the competitive. How unfortunate can you get as Galar Articuno going to reset that Trick Room? As we mentioned there, Seeking just about hanging on through that hail and poison damage. Articuno this time going for the Imprison, stopping that Trick Room, and the Waterfall going to get rid of the Umbreon. Seeking it is going to go down all the way. Bruxish going to get rid of Galar Articuno as well. Seeking goes down to the hail damage, and it is a 2v2 Typhlosion and Urshifu versus Abomasnow and Bruxish then. Goes for the Ice Shard on the Urshifu, as it is of course the priority attack, doesn't quite do enough to take out Urshifu, and the Wicked Blow going to get rid of the Bruxish. Typhlosion still staying asleep, going to get rid of it with the Ice Shard, then Typhlosion staying asleep again. Is it going to finally wake up this next time? It does, and that's unfortunate for Dogs, and the Flamethrower is going to get rid of it. 2-1, Latvian takes it at the last second. Latvian winning it. He likes leaving it close recently, does Latvian. That's the amount of games recently where it's been game 3 and it's been a 1v1 situation and Latvians had it all to do and ended up coming out with the W is insane. But I said to you guys, those two were going to put on a show, and a show they did indeed put on. What a match from those two guys, going all the way to game 3. What a game from those guys. Dogsy, it's unlucky. I think he was saying in the chat there he had Earthquake lined up, but it's the way the cookie crumbles. These things happen. If he'd scouted out that he was going to go for the if he was going to go for the Bruxish instead, then could have been a different story. But shoulda, coulda, woulda in terms of that. Dogsy does live to fight another day. Again, like Dave, like those on the bottom 4, he's not quite out of it just yet. That it's going to come down to the final week, boys and girls. I'm telling you now, that top 8 is not going to be fully decided until week 11, so keep your eyes peeled for that. On to our 4th game of the week though. It is the Long Island Gummies taking on the Kremik Colossals then. So we saw Dr. Dave with a bit of an interesting lineup last week, made use of that Bibarel with that Moody ability, sat next to Alchemy, and of course the Togri with that Follow Me, and Butterfree with the the sleeps, and almost got it off against Tendo Melmetals and Kirky. Unfortunately, Bibarel didn't have a move to hit the Kirky's water Ghostmon, and it just that's the way it went. It was very, very unfortunate to see, but it's just credit as sort of the sort of variety on Dr. Dave's team. That he's got a few modes going there. He's got a sand mode, ice mode that he can sort of play around and switch around in. You've got the Arc Result that benefits in the hail, Dracovish that benefits in the sand, or you can put a scarf on it with Strongjaw. There's a lot of different things that a team can do here, and I think you're very much going to see an all-out weather war. There's going to be, I would think, all different types of weather. You don't want to just sort of limit yourself to either just bringing the hail or whatever, because Silly has got the sun and the rain on there, and as of course has Sableye with Prancer that you can also change around the weather with. So you're going to see a lot of switch-ins, I would expect. And, I think the likes of Vanillix and things here, depending where the position, could be really strong. One thing you've got to be careful of is, playing around that Venu, the Venucore. If Venu gets one of them ones asleep, something like the Artazalt, Vanillix, Excadrill, things like that, they're going to get absolutely yunted by a Torkoal with an Eruption. They're not going to stand a chance. So definitely got to be careful with that. And of course, Poliwrath, Tyrantrum with those stab rock type or fighting type moves as well. We saw how weak Dr. Dave's team is to fighting types. It's a lot of the reason why he's brought in the likes of the alchemy and things, just sort of deal with that. Linu and Galar as well. It's very, very scary stuff, if not to do it. And we speak about Dr. Dave, the writer, and his team. Silly has also shown plenty of times this season he does find himself in a bit of a difficult position in terms of league placement. But if he takes anything from the season, if he doesn't quite get the placement he wants, if he does unfortunately get relegated, he'll always have that he managed to make Mignour work with with Shell Smash and the White Herb. It's been amazing to see sort of Silly try a few different things with his team. As I said, unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked. People have got the better of him this season, but it's been full credit to him. It's something around. I was saying this in the Discord earlier. It's something about the team that finishes third place. We saw in season 1, Dogsy got third place, finished bottom in the East Division in season 2. In season 2, Oma and his California Bastions got third place in playoffs. Then proceeded to get second bottom and be relegated in season 3. And Silly question mark is currently in that bottom 4, second bottom, potentially going to be bottom of the table if he's not careful here. It's weird. There's some sort of curse. Some witch has cursed that third position in our league. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna stop my yabbering. Let's get into this one. As I mentioned earlier, it is a replay game, so I'll try my very best to keep up with the action. But let's get into this one. It is the Long Island going to be taking the Chrome Colossals, and Silly going to lead the line with the Tyrantrum and Electabuzz. So no weather duo leading the line for Silly yet, but the Vinilx and the Arctozolt do lead the line for Dr. Dave. Goes straight off of the Icicle Spear, so Electabuzz is going to go for that Follow Me, tanks that damage, and the Vinilx goes to the Blizzard, and Tyrantrum it doesn't switch it out, and Tyrantrum just eats that, and straight away Dr. Dave flies in it with 2-mon lead, and now in comes that Torkoal Venu lead that we were expecting. Hippo is going to switch in to reset that weather though, and Sleep Powder though going to come out as Venusaur still faster than the Arctozolt and gets to sleep off, and the Eruption, it takes out the Arctozolt. It doesn't stand a chance. It gets some big damage off to the Hippopotas, as now in comes the Dracovish. The Dracovish, I was going to say, you would expect is going to be that Sandrush takes care of that Torkoal. Now Venusaur has it all to do. The Hippopotas goes to the Yonsa. Venusaur's got 1 turn to try and get some damage off, but it is a 1v3. It's a very difficult position to be in. It's going to take the Hippopotas out with it all the same, but the Vinilx is going to be able to switch back in and more than comfortably take out this Venu here. It's in a very, very dodgy spot. There it is, confirmation, and Dr. Dave flies into a 1-game lead here. Just very unfortunate with his lead there, Silly, I think. This time switching up into game number 2, goes to that Venusaur lead, gets up the sun, and this time Dr. Dave with the Kangaskhan Axles switching the Vinilx to reset that weather smart stuff, and Silly switching out into the Tyrantrum. Kangaskhan goes for its Mega Venu, going for that Protect, going to block that Fire Punch to Dr. Dave, trying to scout out that that sun being up, and using that to advantage to put that move on the Kangas. Now in comes the Vish. Torkoal going to reset that weather, so Venu's going to get the Sleep Powder off into Kangaskhan, so he's hitting all the Sleep Powders more importantly, and this could be very good facilities. He's forcing Dave to have to pivot around, and he can just sort of play around that. Gets the Sleep Powder on the Dracovish as well, and just Dr. Dave, he's come to the slumber party, and all of his mons have been invited. Gets to sleep off on the Vinilx as well, and Torkoal going to be free to go for that Eruption. Vinilx not going to stand a chance. Dracovish, of course, is very resistant to that, so it doesn't take too much damage from that, but that hail damage is doing chip damage away to all 4 mons on the field. Now in comes the Arctozolt. Electabuzz going to switch in instead. Protect comes out from that Venusaur, blocks that Blizzard from doing very much, because Arctozolt is a physical attacker, so not really hurting the Electabuzz too much there. And in comes the Torkoal, then reset that weather. Silly playing it really smart. Both just playing it so smart with the switch-ins. Sleep Powder going to get blocked by that Protect on the Arctozolt. The Dracovish switches up. The fish is trying to just Torkoal just about hangs on. As in switches in the Kangaskhan Mega. Still asleep. Torkoal going to go for that Protect. Sleep Powder on the Venu. It's going to put the Vish asleep again. Kangaskhan asleep. Dracovish asleep. Goes for the Energy Ball on the Vish. Just managing to hang on. Torkoal going to get rid of that Vishnu now. All of a sudden it's a 2v4. It's a reverse of the game 1. Dr. Dave very much at a disadvantage here with the Kangaskhan still asleep. Arctozolt going to stop that Sleep Powder from going off with that Protect. Goes for the Heat Wave. It's going to miss the Kangaskhan all importantly, and the Protect does block it. Sleep Powder does miss now though. How huge could that Kangaskhan wakes up as well. Fire Punch gets rid of that Venusaur. Oh, what a horrible time for Silly. And the Volbeat going to get rid of Torkoal, and all of a sudden it's a 2v2. Talk about unlucky. The Sleep Powder misses and Kanga wakes up. Tyrantrum switching in with Electabuzz. Follow Me coming out from that. Electabuzz going to read that Ice Punch coming in. Gets the 2-hit, but gets frozen as well. How huge could that be? Talk about RNG. Oh no, Electabuzz not going to be able to do anything. So Ice Punch going to go on that Tyrantrum. Tyrantrum just can't do anything. It goes for that head smash, which misses as well. And the Arctor's not going to get rid of that Tyrantrum. And Electabuzz with it all to do. It is frozen. Not going to matter as Kangaskhan gets the killing blow. And Dr. Dave from seemingly nothing there gets the W. And, oh man, you've got to feel for the kid there. You know, Dr. Dave was even saying in chat just how much of a rough 2 turns that was in terms of RNG. Yeah, I mean that's the game. You know, we said that's the game we play, and these sort of things happen. But you know, he had so many sleep powders that game that you wouldn't believe, and just where it mattered there in the end, it didn't work out for him. And Dr. Dave, you know, very you know, it's great stuff to Dr. Dave. You know, it's a big shout out to Dr. Dave being able to completely turn that one around. And gets the all-important W in that huge relegation 6-pointer. So Dr. Dave lives to fight another day. Silly though, like Dave and his Newcastle Thunderers, at a very big risk of not making that top 8. They need to win next week, or you know that playoff dream is going to be over. So we're leaving themselves with a lot to do. Very, very scary position, but we will certainly see. On to our 5th game of the week, though. It is 2 of our informed teams. The Bully Boys taking on the Tendo Melmetals then. So, you know, Kirky more than handedly beat Dr. Dave and the Criminal Colossals last week. But, you know, we've got to put a shout out to that Arcanine, just sort of the work he's been putting in since Kirky, you know, started using it after the mid-season break. You know, it's been such a strong one, you know, running it as a special attack and, you know, leave your opponent guessing at that point. You know, yes, he likes to use it as a special attacker, but you just don't know. Of course, does have, you know, the option of that justified ability as well as Lucario. So Kirky can certainly play around with Whimsicott and that, you know, the beat up shenanigans. You know, or potentially even go for, you know, a weakness policy set on Latios with beat up on Whimsicott. There's a lot of different options he's got here. But that sort of first 5 sort of ones are what you're sort of seeing quite regularly come for Kirky, you know, the Lucario, Whimsy, Arcanine, Latios, Ambipom, with generally a sort of variant of either Jellicent, Barbacal, Kecleon or Vivillon in the back. And, you know, you've got to say Jellicent has been a bit of an MVP when it has came. It's been so strong for me, you know, that Water Absorb last week coming really in clutch against that Bibarel. So, you know, we say it every week just how strong that Ambipom has been as well. You know, I think people really undervalue just how strong that thing is, and you know, you cannot take it for granted. Over on the Bully Boy side, though, we've seen Entei in recent weeks really putting in that work. You know, just sat next to you, either the Tapu Lele or you know the Persian Lola or Diggersby. It is really just able to just clean up the sloppy seconds. You know, we've seen it running the physical and the special set this season as Entei, but it's really been putting in the work for the Bully Boys. You know, something like the Blastoise Mega could be really big here as well. You know, the Blastoise gets quite a decent move pool in special attacks, and of course that Mega Launcher ability boosting its Pulse and Sphere attacks. You know, Blastoise gets the likes of Water Pulse, Dark Pulse, Aura Sphere, things like that. They all get a boost from that ability. A Blastoise's Mega Special Attack for its Mega is not to be understated, so you cannot sleep on that thing. Something that the Bully Boys may consider here is bringing something like a sleeper pick like the Phalanx, try and sort of, you know, scat out for that Arcanine using its Intim ability, you know, try and catch Kirky off guard and get a Defiant boost, and, you know, let that Phalanx run wide. Of course, opposing that the likes of the Latios, it might be in a bit of a difficult spot, so got to be careful where he brings that, but, you know, definitely a potential bring, you know, along with something like the Lele or Persian Lola here, you know, Lele just providing that terrain and, you know, stab psychic fairy damage, you know, that's going to do such big stuff into the likes of the Latios and things, and you know, Persian Lola giving you that, you know, stat drop and fake out support that you need, and with that Fair Court ability is strong defender, you know, against something like the you know, physical prowess of that Lucario if it goes for its Mega. But guys, I'm going to stop babbling. Let's get into this one. It is the Bully Boys taking on the Tendo Melmetals then. So, as you can see there, it is the Whimsicott and the Lucario lead the line for Kirky. Lele and the Blastoise then for the Bully Boys with Diggersby, Entei, the Alolan Persia and the Phalanx in the back. So Phalanx does come, and Kirky's got the Arcanine, the Latios, the Ambipom and Vivillon in the back. So you'd very much expect that Lucario to go for its Mega here. Whimsicott, you know, probably going for either a beat-up play, or gonna go for you know, for that Tailwind. You know, if he does go for that beat-up, of course, needs to delay that Mega by just a 10. Blastoise staring down that Lucario. Said we know it gets quite a few, Sphere and Pulse moves, one of them being Aura Sphere, so Lucario's in a little bit of a spot here, but goes for that Mega Protect, comes out from that Lucario, then Whimsicott going for the Tailwind, and there is the double into Lucario then, so the Bully Boys seeing that as the biggest threat, trying to get rid of it as soon as possible, and Keki gets a free turn to set that Tailwind up, and we've seen Whimsicott running the likes of that Energy Ball and things in the past, which is going to do some big super effective damage into Blastoise. So Keki may just look to double into that thing and just try and scat out and get as much damage off into that being its biggest threat. He's going to probably know that the Aura Sphere is coming, so that Blastoise rightfully protects, stops that Energy Ball from hitting off. Drain Punch comes out from that Lucario, and there's the Moonblast from the Lele. Gets a big hit off on Lucario, going to drop the special attack. Not that Lucario is going to matter too much, because it is a physical attacker. So big turn there, some big damage off onto the Lucario. Still no mons down on turn number 3. Keki got some good information that first turn, found that Lele has that Moonblast and the Blastoise has Aura Sphere, so the Energy Ball coming off from Whimsy gets a big amount of damage off from that Blastoise. Meteor Mash though is going to miss the Lele. Side Shot goes off into that Whimsicott, Aura Sphere into that Lucario. Lucario goes down, and all of a sudden is the one mon advantage to the Bully Boys with 1 turn left of Tailwind. In comes the Arcanine, then he's going to get that Intim off, not that Lele or the Stoys are going to care. Arcanine, as we said, is it going to be the physical set? Is it going to be the special set? It's something you've always got to consider. Protect comes out from that Blastoise, then trying to scout what the Arcanine's doing. Whimsicott's going to get blocked from that Flare Blitz. Some big damage off into Lele. Arcanine going to take some chip damage away from that. The Psyshock going to get rid of the Whimsicott, and it's now with 2v4. Latios and Arcanine taking on Blastoise and Tapu Lele. The Tailwind has indeed ended now though, but I would think the Latios still going to be, it's going to be outspeeding both here, so as long as they can get some damage away here, Blastoise and Lele on some low HP, and Keki can potentially level those up at 2 apiece. As a Dragon Ball's going to get rid of that Megastoise. Moonblast going to get a big damage with Latios. Latios managing to hang on. Flame Charge going to get rid of Lele, and that's smart stuff there from Keki. He's going to get the speed boost more importantly. There's now a 2v2. In comes the Entei, and in comes the Diggersby then. The Air Balloon is on that Entei. Latios on such low HP, those might try and go for the Protect there and try and keep that thing hanging around. It is of course Choice Scarf. Diggersby is Arcanine going to be able to get enough damage off here and go before that Diggersby does. Protect does indeed come off from the Latios. There's the Flare Bitch. The Diggersby managed to hang on to Arcanine, taking some recall damage, but it's going to proc the Citrus Berry, so it goes back into the 3/4. Not going to matter because there's the high horsepower into Arcanine. Arcanine goes down, and Crunch can get blocked by that Protect, but this one is going to be over. Then one Crunch should be able to do it because Diggersby is now locked to that high horsepower, so it's not going to be able to do any damage to Latios. But Entei, I would think, it's going to be in a comfortable enough position to take a hit from that Latios. It is going to pop the balloon all the same, but the Crunch going to get the job done, and the Bully Boys go into a 1-0 lead against the Melmetals, and it's a strong start there from the Bully Boys. But pretty close game towards the end there, could have went either way. As into game 2 we go. This time it's Entei paired next to Tapu Lele, and Keki sticking with that Whimsicott and Lucario lead, so we may see Protect Tailwind come out again. Of course, Whimsicott is a prankster, so either way, there's no fake out there on the Bully Boy side, so they can't really stop that Tailwind going up. But maybe the double in kind of helped the Bully Boys in a sense there, because Whimsicott would have went down, it would have allowed a free switch into one of the Keki's other sweeping ones like the Arcanine or Latios, which would have sort of really put those 2 mons at a bit of a threat. See the Bully Boys toying with the Sacred Fire there on the Entei. As you said, the double in, it may even be worth just going for the double in and just covering off in case Lucario doesn't protect, or in case he switches it out. If he doesn't protect, then you get the double damage off into Lucario. If he, if he switches out, then he switches into something taking the double hits. You can kind of just, ignore Whimsicott at that point. Kirky deciding what he wants to do here. As you said, you would expect the Tailwind going to go up on that Whimsicott, give Kirky that speed control, but it didn't end up really mattering too much in that first game. So that Meteor Mash was very unfortunate though on the Lucario side. Arcanine is going to switch in there, so maybe sees the Sacred Fire coming. The Lucario as well is going to get the Intim off, but of course, Inner Focus is going to stop that. There's a Side Shock in the Whimsicott. The Whimsicott does get the Tailwind off, and Sacred Fire in that Arcanine. Arcanine's going to handily take that, of course, with it being a fire type, but some good chip damage away with all the same. Tailwind being up though is important. I think here Kirky's going to maybe try and double into that Lele, seeing it being a bit of a threat here. Those psychic attacks. If Entei goes into that Whimsy, it's going to give him a re-switch into that Lucario. There's the Energy Ball into Lele, gets a big hit off, and the Flare Blitz is going to get rid of the Lele, so it does indeed double in. Takes some recall damage, but that's going to proc the Citrus Berry all the same, so it doesn't matter. The Stone Edge, though, from the Entei is going to miss. And oh dear, the Stone Edge miss. That could be huge. So now in comes the Mega Blastoise, then 2 turns left of Tailwind. What has the Arcanine got in his locker to take out the Entei and Stoise then? Of course, Whimsicott, we saw how much damage those Energy Balls were doing to the Mega Stoise in that game 1. So despite its bulk, it's definitely not safe from the little floaty cloud. While the Whimsicott switches out, in comes the Vivillon, then Protect, comes out from the Arcanine, Protect from the Mega Stoise as well. The Sacred Fire hits it, the Vivillon, and gets the burn as well, so Vivillon switches in and it's going to go straight down. That was maybe a bit of a mistake there from Kirky, but does at least keep his Whimsicott kicking around for one more turn, and we're now tied at 3 apiece. 1 turn of Tailwind left to go as now in switches in at the Lucario. Was maybe just wanting that free switch in, just to take advantage of that, that free switch in, and 1 turn of Tailwind left to go. There is the Mega from the Lucario, goes to the Drain Punch, that gets a big hit off into Entei, does indeed pop the balloon. There's the Wild Charge, so it is Wild Charge on the Arcanine. Entei somehow living. Sacred Fire goes on that Lucario, Lucario goes straight down from that, and there's the Water Pulse from the Blastoise, that takes care of the Arcanine, and all of a sudden it is Whimsicott with a 1v3. It's got it all to do on low HP as well. This one looks to be over. The Bully Boys taking the 2-0 on this one. Unless Whimsicott can pull off some sort of madness, but I don't think it's going to be able to. This one is done and dusted. Bully Boys with the 2-0, and with that they are going to guarantee themselves that playoff spot as well for a 4th season in a row. Only themselves and the Inglorious Surfers doing that on a season by season basis. There is the Entei Ball, so the Entei does get sacrificed, but Water Pulse going to get the job done. There's a 2-0. And there is the result confirmed. So good stuff there. And GG's to Kirky as well. I had a really fun time playing that game. It was very much it was one of the more I don't know what the word is, fast paced games, I guess. There was no slow methodicalness about it. It was just boom 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 boom, just kills, just stuff going on. But yeah, no, it was a really, really fun match. And, I hope to play Kirky again in playoffs if we get a chance. Of course, Kirky, not quite confirmed just yet, but is looking pretty strong for making the playoffs. Just needs that one more win. He's got 2 weeks to get that one more win, and hope that the teams below him don't get the wins if he doesn't get that win. So he's looking pretty strong, is in a very good position. So I would think that he's, we will see him in that top 8. But on to our final game of the week then. It is, of course, the one you've all been waiting for. It is the Inglorious Surfers taking on the South Croydon Saws. Our Season 2 Grand Final and Season 3 Grand Final rematch between these two. Of course, the last time these two played in regular season, Aaron also took that one. So Crizzle, with a lot of revenge on his mind, going to be trying to pip Aaron and get one over on him. Chris, as we said last week, since picking up the Hawlucha, and Mudsdale, and it's just really time to season around with it. Hawlucha's really just unlocked something different in his team. And paired next to the Bulu and things, it's just been so strong. And Mudsdale's giving him that really nice option. Sat next to Cresselia with a skill swap that. You've got to stop the Cresselia from doing what it wants to do with the Calm Mind skill swaps and things, or you're going to be in a world of trouble, as Matrix found out last week. But not only that, also has the option of slacking as well, which he picked up in the mid season. Does unfortunately mean Cresselia may get a skill swapped Truant onto it, but then just unlocks slacking and allows that thing to just wreck house. That thing hits like a complete truck. And something we didn't see during the early season was just how good Milotic, was, and just that Milotic may be the reason that Aaron doesn't bring the Pelipper. But I would definitely expect Rillaboom and Pikachu to be coming just to try and take care of it in case it is in that team of 6. I think Aaron is going to probably want to try and get that speed control of first season. He's going to know that Hawlucha's got that unbed, and it's going to get that defense boost, which is going to unlock Hawlucha. Allow it to go very quickly and potentially set his own tailwind up. So he's got to try and play around that with either fake out from the Hitmonlee Pikachu or Rillaboom, or potentially go for the sleeps with Crobat, which we've seen a few times. Or potentially if he goes for the fake out, allow Crobat to go for its own tailwind and get him that speed. It's all important. It's costing him the only speed control Aaron has in his team. We've seen how good Bronzong can be under Trick Room if it gets those iron defenses up. Not that there's been too much on Chris's team that's worried about fighting type damage. It's more so a case of letting that thing get too many iron defenses up. If you've not got a strong special attacker to do damage into it, then you're in a little bit of a pickle. But guys, I'm not going to do too much analysis on this one. I just want you guys to enjoy the experience. So let's get into this one. It is the Inglorious Surfers taking on the South Croydon Saws. So Chris, with that Hawlucha, Tapu Bulu, Doublade, Comfey, the Cresselia and Goodra, and Aaron leading the line with the Crobat, Turtonator, and has got the Bronzong, Morwell, Rillaboom and Pikachu in the back then. So Chris does lead with that Hawlucha and the Tapu Bulu then, so the Hawlucha getting that unbed and boost with its Grassy Seed proccing. What has Aaron got planned with that Turtonator? We've seen him use Shell Smash on there before, but Bulu gets quite a wide move pool. He's got the likes of High Horsepower and Rock Slide, which are going to do big damage into both Turtonator and Crobat here. So definitely going to be careful where that's concerned. If you can hear any wailing on my mic, by the way, guys, it's not me crying to this match. It's very, very windy outside right now. It's howling against my window a little bit. So Crobat does indeed lead the line for Aaron. What has he got in mind for that thing? Are we going to see, the likes of a Taunt to try and stop the Hawlucha going for the Tailwind? Is he going to go for Hypnosis, just try and put things to sleep? We've seen him run that with the Wide Lens. Is he going to go for his own Tailwind on that Crobat? Protect comes out from the Bulu, then so there's the Thunder Punch. Crobat does manage to hang on through that, goes to the Hypnosis on the Hawlucha, so gets to sleep off, does manage to get off and play for that turn. It's going to get blocked by that Protect, so no speed control going up just yet for Chris's side. But Hawlucha is put to sleep. Are we going to see some of that playoffs look that we saw last year for Chris against me, where he got the 1-turn wake up? That would be an ideal situation for Chris in South Croydon. Also, Hawlucha is still taking a nap. There's a Cross Poison. There is a Cavia Berry on the Bulu, so it's going to allow the Bulu to survive. Because the High Horsepower on the Turtonator gets some big damage off the Flamethrower into that Hawlucha then. Aaron not doubling down, but gets some big damage away to that Hawlucha all the same. Chris is going to be hoping that the Hawlucha is going to wake up some point soon. Because that Crobat is the fastest thing on the field right now that is awake, so could potentially even go for another Hypnosis and Tabulu and just allow, Aaron would just allow himself to be just in full control with 2 months of sleep. Goes in for the Bronzong, then Protect comes out from that Bulu, sees it, a Hypnosis potentially coming, or a Cross Poison though, not going to quite do enough into that Hawlucha, and the Hawlucha stays asleep for a third turn. So none of that mean playoffs match luck that we saw last season, unfortunately for Chris. Bulu switches out, sees maybe a Cross Poison coming out, which it does. It's makes a great read there. So it's a Cross Poison, and Bronzong goes for that Trick Room. Hawlucha still somehow asleep. It must have been very, very tired. Is all I'm going to say. It must be very, very tired to have not woken up yet. Aaron getting very, very lucky in that regard. And in switches in the Cresselia, see the body press comes a great read there. That's going to proc the key berry on the Cresselia, so Cresselia going to get that boost. Shadow Claw not quite doing his but gets the hypnosis off on the Doublade. It's just another mon on Chris's team put to sleep. And we're on turn number 6 with no mons down yet on either side. This is very much setting a precedent for this game. It could go either way at this point. You know, I think we might even see another few turns of this Trick Room, you know, before anything happens. Crowbat going to switch out, in comes the Mawile, then is the Intimidator is going to drop the attacks there, and Iron Defense goes off for the Bronzong. There is he stored power on the crest, not really doing too much, trying to get rid of that Crowbat, was maybe just, you know, not expecting the switch in. And Mawile here going to be able to make full use of that Trick Room being up, going for its Mega. There is the Mega indeed. Iron Defense goes up again for Bronzong. Goes for the player off, does not, and Cressy gets a big hit off, but that defense was really good, and the Calm Mind goes away for the Cresselia as well, so that Cresselia is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It's a very, very scary position for Aaron to be in. Now knows there is that stored power on there. Bronzong's at full defense. Doublade does now finally wake up. Goes to the Sacred Sword. It's not really doing too much at Mawile. Mawile going for that player off again, but Cresselia living it and just swap the huge power off it as well. So Mawile now with that levitate, but Cresselia now has huge power. So that Mawile's attack really, really sort of, you know, nullified now. And Cresselia with such high defenses that you're going to wonder what that Mawile can actually do. And the Cresselia goes to the Moonlight's going to heal right up. That player off doing nothing at 14% damage. Sacred Sword in that Bronzong, just getting that chip damage away. Body press as well, not doing, you know, all that much. But Chris could make a good play. He could switch the, you know, the huge power onto that Doublade and really, really unlock Doublade's power here. Trick Room has indeed ended. We are on number 10, ladies and gentlemen. Not a single mon down. I don't think this has happened once yet this season. We maybe saw it once or twice last season. There's a few stall games, but this is the first time this has ever happened. Hawlucha going to switch in then. Calm Mind goes off for the Cresselia. Player off. The Hawlucha is going to indeed go down. And there's a body press again. So Cresselia takes a critical hit there as well from the Bronzong. So critical hit to boost. You would maybe expect a Moonlight coming out of Chris. And finally, on going into 10, number 11, we have a Mon down, and Bulu's going to switch back in. Set up that grassy terrain called Bulu. Cannot go for the high horsepower into Mawile here. So has nullified one move, he can go into it. You know, that would have been very nice here, but you know, I think Chris will be just sort of benefiting the Mawile, benefiting from the Mawile not having that huge power. With the Mon advantage. No speed controls up for either side just yet, because we have already seen a Trick Room go up. You know, you expect to see most of a game go by during sort of turn of Trick Room. Mega Mawile going to go for that protect. Darkest Lariat into that Bronzong, so that's a smart bring there for Chris. Goes to the Moonlight as expected. Bronzong going for that Trick Room once again, try and let that Mawile get those moves off first. Darkest Lariat is a big threat to Bronzong. You know, it's going to ignore those stat changes and just allow Bulu to do so much damage to it. The body press into Bulu. Bulu gets hit with a critical hit as well. Bulu just hanging on an Iron Head. Going to take care of the Tapu Bulus now. Aaron has a 4v2 lead. Trying to go for the skill swap there. Give the Bulu the huge power, which would have been absolutely insane. But Aaron sees better of it. Doubles into that Bulu and now is a 2v4. Just Doublade. You know, potentially able to do damage here. This is a very, very scary position for Crystal to be in. But no Crobat on the field, so Crystal can, you know, feel a little bit safe that nothing's going to sleep for now. Are we going to see that skill swap from Cress here then? Goes to the body press into the do. That's a bit of a mistake there for Aaron. Goes for the Sacred Taunt and the Bronzong player off. Not going to be doing much into that Doublade, and there is the skill swap then. So Aaron in a little bit of a pickle there and going for the body press, maybe a miscook there, and now that Doublade has huge power. Very, very awkward position for Aaron to be in now. Could potentially just be swept by that Doublade if he doesn't deal with it quickly. And I'm not too sure Bronzong or Mawile can really touch it, to be honest. Bronzong definitely can't. There is the body press into Crest. Crest not really caring about that. Sacred Sword going to get rid of the Bronzong, and Kriz now does get one on the board. There's the Iron Head from Mawile. Does get the flinch onto the Crest though, which could be huge. 1 turn left of Trick Room is now in. Switches in the Turtonator. Turtonator are going to be the biggest threat here to Doublade. Unless Crobat switches in and puts it to sleep, which very much could still happen. Kriz trying to crawl his way back into this one. Of course, Crest does have that stall power, and now it's set up. That stall power is going to do some big damage into Crobat. Protect comes out from the Doublade, sort of just double protect, just allow it to live. That last time Trick Room gets the Iron Head flinch again on Mawile. What on earth is going on as Trick Room does end, go into turn number 16 then. So Kriz with that speed control back. Start power comes out, that's going to get rid of the Turtonator. Iron Head not really doing, just trying to scout out for flinches. Shadow Claw is not going quite doing enough to Mawile, gets a big hit, and now in comes a Crobat. Crobat you would definitely expect he's going to go straight on the front for Hypnosis. That's his best bet here, to try and put someone to sleep. But Mega Mawile just really can't touch the Doublade. Gets the Hypnosis off into the Cresselia then. Doublade, the player off goes into the Crest. Doublade going to get rid of the Crobat, and now Mega Mawile with it all to do that. These two, just this duo, are going to bring it back, and Kriz is going to take this game number 1 in one of the... What is this game 1 being? 10 number 18. Crest does get the 10-1 wake up, gets a star power kill, and there it is, Krizzle with the 1-0 lead. And into game 2 we go then. I think those sleeps on Crobat are definitely going to be setting the precedent for this one, and Kriz this time going for the Comfey and the Goodra then. Mawile leading the line next to Crobat instead, so you're going to get the Intim off from the Mawile. And Mawile you'd expect to go for the Mega, that Comfey not going to comfortably live. An Iron Head, and you can't even really risk a switch just in case Mawile goes to the player off. Aaron might try and make a sort of scary read here. It's going to really hit the Goodra very hard. Doublade switches in then, so maybe see a player rough coming out from that Goodra. Hypnosis going to get blood of that, protects it. Aaron goes straight for it. There's the Iron Head, so great reads there from Kriz, just covered off player off. Iron Head doing damage, and in switches in the Doublade. But them sleeps are definitely very much a problem. Kriz has got to try and play around here. You don't want to give Aaron that control here. There's always an element of craziness to these two when they play each other. We saw last season grand finals, Aaron was just hitting blind hurricanes and all sorts in the sun, and the season before, season 2, we saw Pikachu can play Hypnosis, going to go off into that Doublade. There's a player off, Cresselia just launches right into that player off, takes a big amount of damage from that, but it's going to proc the Key Berry all the same, so gets that defensive boost. But might have to go either on the front looking for Calm Minds or going for a Moonlight here. But we know Crobat likes to run a taunt, so Aaron may either go for a sleep or a taunt there on the Crobat and just try and stop Cresselia what it wants to do. Crobat, with being so fast, it makes it very difficult to play around in that regard. Comfey going to switch back in, then there's a Hypnosis on the Cresselia. Another one goes to sleep, player off, going to get some big damage off into theirs. Now Comfey can at least floral healing the Cresselia and try and get back to full HP, but Aaron might even feel safe going for a sleep on the Comfey. Always got the option of cross poison, try and get some big super effective damage. There's the floral healing, just keeping the Cresselia alive. It goes to the taunt on the Comfey. Crest is going to indeed wake up and gets the skill swap off, more importantly, Player off now not going to be doing anywhere near as much. So that's a really huge time there for Chris getting the wake up. Comfey unfortunately is taunted, so that is a bit of a difficult spot, but I think we're going to be going quite a few times here before we see some kills, boys and girls. This is going to be very much a rinse and repeat of game number 1. Doublade going to switch back in, trying to maybe hope for a wake up. Taunt going to come out. Stored Power just not quite doing enough damage. Reads the Iron Head coming in though. Just smart stuff there from Chris. Stored Power just not quite doing enough, and while it's taunted, it's really the only thing it can do. Oh, Crobat does miss the Hypnosis this time. Stored Power though, going to just do a little bit chip away at Crobat. Play rough, going to get the critical hit as get some big damage off of Doublade. Unfortunately not waking up, so Aaron going to be free to go for that Hypnosis again, but that could have been a huge turn there had Doublade woken up. It's all coulda, shoulda, wouldas unfortunately right now with this game we play of RNG. Goes the Crobat Tetanus, which is in, sees the Stored Power coming, Tetanus manages to tank that. Player off does miss the Cresselia though. Doublade stays asleep another turn. The taunt now ending on that Cresselia though. So Cresselia going to be free to go for those Moonlights and Tetanus, which I think Aaron just trying to find a way to deal with that Doublade. Knows there's a threat if it wakes up, and Cresselia can just sort of skill swap it in. Moonlight comes out from the crest. There's the Player rough into Cresselia as well, just not doing too much. Goes to the Draco and Meteor, just trying to get as much damage off in that Cresselia as he can. No, I definitely shouldn't have played RNG with RNGs as Goodra switches in now. 10, number 9, and again, no Mons down just yet. This is exactly the same as game number 1. Pikachu now switching in though. Moonlight off again for the Cresselia, and the Breaking Swipe not going to affect Mawile and get some big damage off to Pikachu. And Mawile not going to take that attack drop at the Play rough. Oh, Goodra just about hangs on, but it's going to proc the Weakness Policy on the Goodra. And now Pikachu, having just switched in and managing to tank that, could potentially go for a fake out here into that Goodra or the Cresselia here, and now Mawile to get a big hit off. Especially if he goes into the Goodra here and it doesn't get protected. Goodra potentially going down there is a protect. Pikachu goes for the Encore into Cresselia, so Cresselia now locked into that Moonlight, so which is great. It can keep healing up, but it can't do anything else. So Aaron can basically just sort of ignore that for a couple of times now and just focus on the Mon next to it. So that's smart stuff there with the Pikachu. Aaron knew Chris would potentially be expecting a fake out there, and it goes down the Encore route instead. Good reads. Encore into the Goodra slot now, so it's forced into another protector. It's at least going to live through that Play rough, but Pikachu just being allowed to just play annoyance, just like the Crobat. So Aaron just really toying with Crizzle at this point then, so both lock into non-damaging moves, which is going to make them both quite a lot easier to deal with. Now in comes the Crobat. We're going to see the pure Cresselia be encored and put to sleep. Switches in the Convertible Player, so it's going to drop the attack, but not that's going to matter as Encore now does end. But is that the worst to come? Crobat now potentially could put either of these mons to sleep. Doublade going to switch back in. Maybe he's expecting a sleep into the Convertible slot. Cresselia gets taunted though, so no Carmine going off. So again, good reads there from Aaron. And a good switch in from Cresselia every time. Aaron has went for the Iron Head on that Comfey. There's been a Doublade switched in its place. Just a really big war of attrition. A 10, number 14. Hypnosis goes off into the Cresselia. Doublade finally gets the wake up and goes to the Shadow Claw on the Crobat. Crobat gets hit by the critical hit, and finally on 10, number 14, we have a Mon go down. Chris with the Mon advantage. As we found out last game though, having Mon advantages doesn't always mean safe, as Mawile now switches back in. Cresselia has been put to sleep, it's been taunted, it's been encored. Is there anything else Aaron can do with the power thing? Text coming out from that doubler, then just trying to keep it alive, knowing that Titanite is going to hit it hard with the flamethrower. And the taunt does end in the Cresselia, but Cresselia unfortunately not waking up just yet. He needs it to wake up soon and try and get those calm minds off if he's going to be able to sort of take control of this game. Aaron's sort of still free to sort of play with those switch-ins. If he deals with that double edge as well, it could be a bit of a scary spot for Chris to be in. I just can't believe how many times we've gone through, guys, with just so like there's so much has happened, but yet so much hasn't happened. we basically just been, it's basically like a Big Brother sleeping, you know, during the nights when like Big Brother would be on like one of those random channels and you'd just be watching these celebrities asleep. That's basically what we've got right now. Is Gurja's going to switch back in. He's going to eat that Iron Head though now, and Aaron going to ties up a 3-piece, goes to the flamethrower into that Cresselia. Cresselia taking a bit of a hit there. Now Comfort switching in, so Comfort in a bit of a difficult spot facing down that Mawile there, might be trying to scatter an Iron Head and sort of switch back into the double blade, but got to be careful where he's regard. There's Aaron may make the reads and just go straight into that, you know, double into that spot with the Titanite and Mawile. You don't need to be sorry, Crizzle, it wasn't your fault. you were doing your best. Goes with 4 healing, so it's going to keep Chris, and Cresselia finally does wake up and gets a calm mind off. More importantly, Comfort going to go down that Iron Head and finally gets rid of it. There's the flamethrower. Is he going to get the burn? No burn going off, and that might have been a good thing, to be honest, for Cresselia to get burned there. That might have been like, you know, quite pivotal there. But Aaron now with them on advantage, and Doublade not going to enjoy it too much facing down this Titanite. Is this going to be where the game turns then? Aaron can get rid of this Doublade. You know, he's just got a Cresselia to deal with, is stuck with stored power. Has got the calm mind off, more importantly. Doublade's going for that protect then. Cresselia gets another calm mind off. There's a play rough. Some big damage off there. Goes the Draco Meteor. Cresselia just tanks that hit. Cresselia just does not die, goes for that Moonlight then, play rough into the Doublade, then it does double into it this time, down goes Doublade, now Cresselia with it all to do in a 1v3, and we're on 10, number 20, boys and girls. It's just, I don't think that's ever happened. That music I use as well, that one that's on this one is usually the one I use for the longer videos, and it's never got to a point where that's ended. Just play rough, goes off the stored power, gets some big damage on the Titanite, flamethrower as well, so Aaron just having to try and chip away at this Cresselia's health. Might be a time to bring in the the Pikachu, try and get the Encore off the Cresselia. Going to get rid of the Titanite there with 1v2. Play rough, getting some big damage off it. There's now in, switch to the Pikachu, so now he knows he can't risk a Moonlight or he's stuck, you know, doing no damage. Goes for the fake out, all the same. Play rough, gonna get rid of it, and Aaron gonna tie us up at 1 apiece. What a hell of a game, 22 turns, boys and girls. Absolute scenes here in the British Mountain League as we move on to game number 3. Crobat and Mega Mawile leading the line for Aaron. Chris switches back to the Bulu and the Hall Lucha lead, gets that Grassy Seed, which is gonna proc that embed, and Mawile, more importantly, getting the Intim off into the Tapu Bulu and the Hall Lucha then. Are we going to see more of that Crobat putting things to sleep then? Are we going to see a rare Hypnosis miss from that thing? Crobat switches out, in comes the Pikachu then, maybe expecting that Thunder Punch. Hawlucha going for the coaching instead, puts the Bulu back up to neutral, goes to the high horsepower, Mawile managing to tank that, goes to the Iron Head, and Bulu just hangs on through that defense boost from coaching, saving its skin. But in that same breath, that Intim from Mawile switching in, saving its life. If Bulu had got the attack boost rather than getting back to neutral attack, you've got to think that Mawile was going down to high horsepower. Without that speed control, Pikachu now going to be free to go for a fake out here. Good attack comes out from the Bulu. There's the fake out. Aaron reads that coming, stops the Hawlucha from getting the off, goes to the play rough. Hawlucha going to go down, and Aaron now with the Mon advantage. It took like 10-15 turns the last two games to get kills, and on turn number 2 we've already got a kill. Bulu on low HP as well as the in switches into the Doublade then. Switching out for the Mega Mawile, goes for the on-call, and Bulu stuck in that protect. Doublade gonna go for the Shadow Claw. Pikachu just about hanging on with 2% HP. That's absolutely insane. This Pikachu, I don't know how on earth Pikachu has just tanked that, but it has. It's just tanked that Shadow Claw. As I said, Bulu stuck in that protect, so Aaron can very much just kind of ignore it until Chris switches it out if he chooses to switch it out. You're in a bit of a scary spot when you're a 1-1 down in terms of switch outs. Laternator's got a stab type fire move to hit either Bulu or Doublade, and Bulu's not going to keep getting those protects. Eventually they'll fail. Pikachu's out, in comes the Crobat then. Cresselia is switching in for the place of that Bulu protect, comes out from the Doublade, sees that Flamethrower coming, so covers that off with a protect. Are we going to see the sleep start happening with the Crobat? That's what's coming. I think Aaron's definitely going to try it. Or he's going to go for the taunt on the Cresselia instead. Either way, Chris is in a bit of a spot. Goes for the taunt there on the Crest. Not going to get that Carmine off. Flamethrower. Doublade managing to hang on, but gets burned by the Flamethrower. Shadow Claw's just not going to do anything like that, and it's going to get most HP back thanks to the grassy terrain. Grassy terrain does now indeed end, but what of a disaster return, and Aaron looking very, very strong in this game. Number 3 then, is he going to get another one over Chris in the South Croydon Oz? Doublade going for the protect. Hypnosis does miss though, so that can be huge. Goes to the starred power, and that's all he can do in terms of damaging move thanks to that taunt. Crobat not going to really be phased by that one. Hypnosis misses again. It's a double miss. Star Power going off again into that Crobat. Flamethrower gonna get rid of that Doublade. It's now a 4v2 situation. Taunt finally does end on that Cresselia, but I think if he goes to the Carmine again, Crobat's gonna have that covered now. In comes the Tapu Bulu. Gotta hope that he can get the KO onto the Turtonator here, or this one is going to be game, set and match. Gets the taunt off into the Crest again. High horsepower doesn't quite do enough to Turtonator. Turtonator gets a Flamethrower into Bulu, and this one is going to be over Crest with a 1v4, and all it's got is stored power. This game 3 has been a lot more, sort of cutthroat from Aaron and from Chris as well. I've seen, and it's not surprising what a slog this match has been. Absolutely insane. Puts the Cresselia asleep finally at the 3rd time of asking. Gets the Flamethrower off from that Turtonator. And then Aaron switching into the Pikachu then. Can just keep hitting up the Flamethrowers. Gets a critical hit to boot as well. Taunt does end, but Cresselia gonna still stay asleep. And Aaron going to take this one and move himself to 8-1. Goes to the Endeavour, which is smashed up there on the Pikachu. There's a Flamethrower, get the job done, and Aaron takes that one 2-1 over Chris and the South Croydon Saws, ending Chris's winning streak as well with it. But Chris does have to wait another week for playoffs, but he's looking in a very strong position either way thanks to that mid-season form. But GG to both players. Yeah, what an absolute slog of a match. The amount of sleeps and stuff going on in that game, I would have lost my mind if that was me playing. So mad respect to Chris for playing that one out and not just booting a wall. Absolutely insane stuff. But anyway guys, let's take a look at what those matches mean for the league table then. So as you can see, Aaron does extend his lead at the top, then goes to 8-1. The plus 13 game difference. Latvian now moving to 7-2 with that 2-1 win over Dogsy and Shadow Kings. Booty Boys return to that third position, just ahead of the Welsh Warriors on game difference, both on that 6-3. Meanwhile, Chris and the South Croydon Saws and Tendall Melmetals both losing out this week. Means they both have to wait another week for playoffs. But, you know, they are more or less there, to be honest. You know, that they can only really be caught by Dogsy, Dr. Dave, or they can only really be caught by my meme or Dr. Dave at this point. So I would think they're more or less safe. They just need to get that win next week to guarantee it. Jay in his Toronto 6 though. Big shout out to Jay. He's moved himself up to 7th position and looking very, very strong. Meanwhile, Meme losing out to the Welsh Warriors means that playoff berth is all the more scary, with Dr. Dave getting that win over Silly in that relegation 6-point. It means there's 3 teams down on the 3-6 record: Space City PC, Criminal Colossals and the Shadow Kings. And at the bottom there, very much at risk of missing out on playoffs and potentially being relegated, the Newcastle Thunderers and the Long Island Goomies. Silly now sat bottom of the table and needing to win next week to keep himself in with a shout of making it. But guys, thank you all very, very much for watching this week's episode of the British Pokemon League. I hope you've all had an absolute blast. We'll, of course, be back next Monday for week 10 of the British Pokemon League right here on this Twitch channel. And, of course, you can catch the return of the British Pokemon League Championship show hosted by our very own Aaron T. Marshall tomorrow night. Not entirely sure of the time, but will be between 7 and 9 p.m. So I hope you all join us for that one and see the return of the championship guys after that mid-season break. But, guys, that's going to do it from me. I've been your host, Matt Starr. Check us out next Monday on this Twitch channel, twitch.tv/British Pokemon League. Next Monday at 8 p.m. to see next week's action. As I say, I've been your host, Matt Starr. Goodbye and good night. Mwah.